Recording.
Awesome. Just got the notification. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for stopping in and watching another knowledge webinar with Taylor Business Group. So glad you could jump on and say hello. This will be recorded, so I know if a lot of you can't make it, I know in the middle of the day it's tough to take an hour off. So Michael's going to go over some really good stuff. So you're going to want to make sure that you come and check this out. Tell your friends to watch the recordings. They will be posted. Probably on both sides, SureWeb and Taylor Business Group will keep these things posted. First thing we want to do is talk about a little housekeeping. The Big is happening August 24th through the 26th. If you're not a Taylor Business Group member and you want to learn more, this is the perfect opportunity to come by and see what the community is all about. There are passes that allow you to come even though you're not part of the community. We want to show you what our community is about. You can go to taylorbusinessgroup.com/bigbig. If you have other questions, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, wherever, and I will gladly help out. But make sure you come out to this. These are always educational and very fun events. And they're in Hollywood, Florida. You can't beat the location. We also have a ridiculously cool service and security in-person workshop in Orlando, Florida, October 11th, 12th, and 13th. I got to learn to speak, Michael. 13th. It's actually in ThreatLocker's offices, which is really cool. So you get a tour possibly, and you're going to get to talk to ThreatLocker and our team as far as training goes. And then on the last day, Huntress is going to do a hands-on workshop. No talking about it, actually doing. So I would highly recommend going to this event, checking it out, get your service people out there, your security people to check this out. It's a super cool 3-day event, all educational, no sales BS. Go to taylorbusinessgroup.com, find MSP training and then classroom training to get yourself registered for the event. All right. Are we ready, folks? Elizabeth, I think we're ready. We got the infamous or famous Michael Camo. And Michael, why don't you start off by telling a little bit about yourself and SureWeb, and then we'll let you jump right into your presentation.
Sure. So my name is Mike Como. I'm going to actually be, I guess, canceling out a few of the first slides here because that's part of it. But my name is Mike. I am our Senior Business Development Manager here at SureWeb. A lot of what I do is strategic alliances and strat groups in the United States, custom programs, custom price points, all that good stuff. That's kind of my forte here. I've been with SureWeb for about 8 years. SureWeb is a little different than a typical marketplace, which is kind of the focus of today. We have started to kind of take on more of a consultative approach to how we do things, more of a business relationship side. We noticed probably about 2 to 3 years ago that this was kind of a big problem. A lot of partners were very transactional, especially in the marketplace side. Come here, buy this, do that. But nobody was really pointing people in the right direction. So that's pretty much the angle that SureWeb has started to take. And that's how the presentation today is kind of going to go. It's about increasing your profitability with the CSP program and kind of more of an educational side of it. So just walking through what an existing MSP is actually looking at when they log into their Microsoft portal, what the heck that all means, and kind of how to go through that and where we can potentially help if there are questions.
First of all, I just want to say, Michael, basically, you're a guy people should know because this is not easy. Watch this presentation. Michael's a guy you're going to want to connect with because this is not easy. So I can't wait, Michael. I'm sorry. I'm just getting so excited.
No problem. I'm going to share my screen now and get started.
Awesome. Looks good.
Awesome. So one thing you will notice, so we've kind of framed out our marketplace and kind of expanded off of that. So yes, we are a marketplace similar to a PAX or similar to what Ingram's doing. The portfolio, however, will be more niche. So there's kind of a method to the madness there. The reason you won't see 32 different backup solutions, we want to be able to manage the whole sales cycle for every product that we put in here. So for instance, you want to buy Veeam or Trend Micro, we want you to be able to come to us and us actually be able to help you scope the opportunity and help you all the way through the sales cycle. This is where we've expanded the most, and this is where we've seen the market going. So that's why we did this. We acquired a white labeled help desk provider about 2 years ago. So this has kind of helped us build out this side of the house. So SureWeb offers a lot on the partner services side as well. We have our own 24/7 white labeled help desk. We have a lot on our managed services side. So from the NOC perspective, we have pre-sale support. So lots of partners can come to us with an existing opportunity. We can take it from point A to point B, help them work their way all the way through it. The Microsoft consultation side, you're actually going to get a bit of that today. In essence, I am the initial 15 minutes of what's most likely an hour conversation. We also have our own MDR solution that we built in-house as well. And then the touch component. So the concept here is really, and I'm pretty sure I was supposed to change that slide, but whatever. It has a different name now, FYI. But this high touch experience, how we've built out our teams, how we manage accounts, how we built out accounts has been a pretty big concept for us. So I'll go through that a bit more at the end, but this is kind of the 3 levels we have. So yes, there's a marketplace piece to this, but that partner services side and kind of our own people are really where we see a big difference. So I already went through my name. Again, Senior Business Development Manager at SureWeb. This is kind of the agenda we wanted to talk through. So we're going to kind of focus on what MSPs are struggling with now. And then a topic that we're kind of calling PDM as a service. Then we're going to look through the incentive piece plus what solution designation means. So literally taking screenshots from a Microsoft partner portal and kind of explaining what the heck you're looking at so that you guys have a fighting chance here. What we've seen the most successful partners do with respect to MCE and this new solution partner designation program. And then we're also going to talk about where we feel partners are a bit more profitable with SureWeb than some of our competitors. So obviously there's a struggle. The last 2 years have not been fun for most people. I mean, COVID started it, but then Microsoft decided to add on top of it with the NCE stuff. So now there's a lot of contractual pieces to this. This is just some of it, right? Some partners stop seeing incentives. Some partners get no more leads. All the acronyms they keep throwing at you, and now they're switching, DAP to GDAP, which is causing more confusions. Where can I do what and when? Who needs what access? And then obviously the merger and acquisition stuff too. Number 10 here has been a pretty big deal. A lot of partners are either buying or in the process of looking to sell. How does that impact, your Microsoft partner network? How does that impact your ID number? What incentives might you lose if you don't pull that other acquired company in properly? That kind of stuff. That's a lot of stuff to handle for one product line. So this is a lot of text, I know, but this is what we're kind of coining our PDM as a service. So the concept here is this used to be a huge thing for Microsoft, right? They used to have product development managers for a large amount of their partner base. So though you could be a managed account and get a lot of love from Microsoft directly, Microsoft has started to pull the reins back on that. It's much harder to get that kind of support from Microsoft directly. So what we've done is we've kind of built out a plan of attack, let's say, to be able to provide you as much ammunition on this that we can. So kind of the first step, making sure you're properly enrolled in the indirect reseller model, that best practices have been taken into effect, making sure that you have access to all the cashback programs, that you know what the heck they all mean, simplifying the incentive piece. So what I'm about to show you today is the first step, right? But what'll end up happening is this is going to be a multiple month endeavor. So every 6 months or so, you're gonna have to go back, see what you're doing, go through all of that stuff, and make sure you have a fighting chance. That's where we can come in and do those conversations with you, so you're not leaving money on the table and you don't leave yourself vulnerable. We're also finding that from a referral business profile perspective, that's working well too. So what that means is we have a P2P community in-house. So you stumble on an Azure opportunity or a Dynamics opportunity you're not comfortable with, we have expert partners throughout North America that can jump in either in a white label capacity or as your expert and help you close that business. We're also the number 6, so CPOR, CSP links, DPOR, all that stuff. We have guides that explain most of this terminology, what you actually need to do, what's best practice, where you need to go, that kind of stuff. We've also switched to GDAP, so you'll have a role guidance and recommendation guide as well. So these are the kind of things that we're starting to throw out there to our existing base to help them properly navigate the chaos that Microsoft may or may not have created. So the changes themselves, these are the 4 points that you're going to see, right? So the biggest part is they've revamped their program. Everybody was getting used to either buying an action pack, being a silver partner, being a gold partner, right? Um, then Microsoft changed it to this new designation. So there's 6 designations you can now get. There's a scoring system. Uh, One good note, the benefit package did get better if you are able to hit it. And the rates, they've also changed the incentive rates. So incentive rates, just to make sure we're clear, you get margin on Microsoft from somebody like us, right, in advance. These incentive rates are what Microsoft owes you on the back end if you're set up properly as a partner with them. So here's kind of a quick snapshot of what it looks like. You don't need to retain any of this, but just the important stuff here is there's still an action pack. So if you're a smaller MSP partner and you're not into the whole Microsoft game, that's fine. You can still pay that annual fee of $475, get a few free licenses, a little bit of free stuff for your company, and kind of be off and running, right? And you'll still get the MPN ID. So when you're buying Microsoft through somebody like a SureWeb, you'll be able to still get that tracking to that number. And then if you get to a level where you can then expand it up to a solution partner designation, you can do that. One thing you will notice is 2 have become 1. So there is no more silver. Everything now is going to cost $4,730 a year. Okay. So that gold competency piece, that's really kind of the main focus from a pricing perspective. But everybody is going to want to be kicking the tires and getting to this solution partner designation. So that's going to be very important. I think it's the next slide. Nope, it's not. So October 1st is the date you need to keep in mind. Okay. So even if you're still getting money right now, which is fantastic, you may still be getting cash right now. You're seeing it come from Microsoft. You think that there's no problem in the world. I would still tell you, follow through this slide deck, look in your Microsoft portal. And if you don't see that the scoring system looks correctly and you're not hitting this part here, that tap is going to close on October 1st and there's no more Microsoft money coming your direction. So that scoring system I was talking about is 70 points in a specific solution designation. Okay, so the easiest one for everyone is going to be modern work. All right. Um, it's not the easiest thing, but I'm going to break this down. So all the screenshots that you'll see are actually explaining what you will view when you log in. So for an understanding perspective here, 70 points is going to be split across these 3 categories. There's actually 5 buckets. Okay. The performance is set. It's net new customer ads. This is confusing in and of itself. And if you read the few details, it's even more complicated. So yes, it could mean you've added the right number of organizations into your MPN ID. But what it could also mean is you set somebody up, maybe a 20 user opportunity, and they were a Zoom shop, so they've never touched Teams. Well, if you get them to start leveraging Teams, that'll count as a net new customer ad. So the breadth of what you're using on the Microsoft side will actually spike up this performance tier. Skilling is all on your end. Okay. And kind of the method is if 1 and 3 aren't done, don't worry about 2. At least not till you get the right number of points in 1 and 3. And 2 is certifications. So that's going to Microsoft, passing those exams within your own team and getting those points. And the customer success stuff, that's where that successful deployment stuff comes into effect as well. So here's what it looks like when you log in. So if you logged into your user and you're in your partner center, when you go to solution partner overview, you're going to see 6 solution designations. So infrastructure is what applies to Azure for the most part, and modern work is going to be the one that will get you the quickest route to free licensing, and getting you kind of back to whole, I guess is a way to word it. And you can see where you're at by just clicking on view details. So you're going to be focused on that SMB thing. So this is good to just do a spot check to make sure that you see what number of points you're at, because you can only apply for the solution partner designation for, let's say, modern work if you're over 70 points and you have 1 point in each of these 5 brackets. Okay. So this is kind of what you're looking at when you click on that view details component. And in here, you'll see each of these can be opened up, and there's details in there as well. And this is complicated to navigate. So we have a couple of guides that we built. The first one being, how the heck do you get signed up with Microsoft, and how do you start getting points? How do you start getting this direction? We have a guide that we built for that specifically. We've also built a guide for this one. The main problem we see is some people do have exams passed and they're unsure why they don't have points. Well, we built a guide so that you can properly link one of your employees' Microsoft Learn accounts to your MPN ID properly so that it begins to track. Okay.
Hey, Michael.
Yep.
Just a quick question through all this, and I think I know the answer, but for the audience, not only do you guys have the guides, but your team will walk them through these processes and help them get to the end where they're feeling pretty solid, correct?
Correct. So what we actually extend to all groups, and we'll extend it to Taylor Business Group as well, is any partner that is a Taylor Business Group member, regardless as if you buy from me or even will buy from me, we'll go through this on the house. So we'll do this for you. Typically, the way it'll start is a 30-minute call with myself. And then if I'm stuck, so obviously with Microsoft, some things break, some things don't make a lot of sense. If that's the case, then we have experts in-house that will jump on a secondary call with us. And that's all done just for being a member. So that's something we've extended to all groups that we deal with.
Okay, fantastic. Love that. And by the way, for anybody that's watching this, it's super important to get involved and have these folks do this because it's really hard. It's hard to go alone. But when you start plugging through this, even the smartest people get stumped on this. You have to really know the ins and outs of this. Why not just like you let your customers have you be the expert with technology? In this case, let the Microsoft experts do this. So call Michael and team and have them walk you through this. It'll save you time, energy, and in the end, money.
Correct. Awesome. So this is just highlighting the piece that I mentioned earlier. So this is the concept. October 1st, only solution partner designation will be required to be eligible for incentives. So this is just saying that, hey, if you're still on legacy and you've been getting some benefits, or you're still on gold or silver, October 1st, it's done. Okay. This here, I put this in because a lot of people have been getting money on Azure. The concept here is this is one of the more complicated ones to get. Okay. So the concept here is there's almost 7 certifications to go get, which is a lot for a small managed service provider. We have helped though, just because there's not a lot of skin in the game, as everybody's well aware with Azure. And you want to make sure that you've hit all those accelerators on the back end, right? So this here will increase, so you'll get more money than you did before, but the work to go get it is going to be more. It's going to be harder, and you can see this if we go back to that infrastructure. That's where you're going. If you click on view details, you'll see a similar bucket structure like you did for modern work, which I showed, and that infrastructure, that'll kind of give you the game plan to go get it. But any partner that is losing it or was getting incentives and about to lose it, we also, similar concept, will explain, okay, here's how you go from point A to point B. Here are your options to go and make sure that you keep that functionality and the money. So I skipped that one too fast. So what we've noticed successful partners do with respect to NCE and the Microsoft new solution partner designation program, we're going to share a couple of insights. Okay. And this is really just based on what our best partners are doing. So partners that have hundreds and thousands of clients a month, and how they navigated NCE successfully without, oh my God, these 3 clients left and I'm on the hook for 35 grand. So this is the best thing we've seen. So the first 2 steps, I cannot say more, are the 2 most important pieces. So please, if you are contractually with all your end clients, make sure that you're aligning the Microsoft spend with those dates. Okay, don't have a contract with the client from today until June of 2024, but your Microsoft licenses run out till in December. So now your Microsoft is December to December and they cancel 1 year, you're going to be on the hook just like I am for those 6 months. So when you renew the next time you do that contract, I'll try your best to align commitment dates with that. Typically, that's easier, obviously, right at the start of a new client, but even your existing base, make sure there's some language, some terminology in there that helps you cover that gap so that you're not on the hook holding the bag like we are to Microsoft. The second piece is remove everybody's global admin rights. Uh, the concept here is, let's say you have a company and that company has their own global admin user. They could actually CSP transfer to another provider and set up licenses, even though you have 11 months left with me. So what does that mean for you? It means that if they stop paying you and you can't legally go get the money, you and I owe Microsoft 11 months worth of licenses. It doesn't matter that Microsoft's getting billed twice. This is something that happens. So you need to make sure that you've locked down that tenant. You're the only one with access. If they need to move, they need to move on your terms. Okay. And I know that sounds like you're holding them hostage, but with the contracts being the way they are, you need to make sure that you're in control of who has that kind of high level access that they can move from point A to point B, because contractually they may be moving because they owe you 3 months, right? They may be 90 days behind with you. Well, you can't let them just leave, right? No person would let them do that. So you have to come to that agreement. So removing the rights are important. The 80-20 rule is a big deal as well. So the 80-20 rule is pretty straightforward. So if you have a really large organization that fluctuates, or even a small one, 40 users, 50 users, and they move, they go to 45, then they go to 52, then they go, and they like that functionality. Well, the 80-20 rule just means lock in 80% of the licenses on annual build monthly, and that other 20%, you can let that be monthly, and then you let them know that each month you can make a change, and you give them a percentage that they can go up and down each month. Well, up doesn't really matter in Microsoft's eyes, but the down component is where the 20 comes in. So it allows you to fluctuate a little bit, um, and kind of keep it similar to what it was pre new commerce experience, but at least giving them some functionality back a little bit too. So the do more with less stuff is there's a lot of promotions on the Microsoft side to kind of get you over here, get you into NCA, get you into specific plans. This one here, if you don't know what it is, let me know. I'll add that to an email, and you can get kind of the breakdown of what's going on there and how much longer you have. Um, the client qualification, so adopt a client. So for the most part here, what this is doing is just inside from a housekeeping perspective, your portal has a lot of options in there. You may not even have location set up properly to get clients. So that's something too. So making sure that you're actually getting, if Microsoft is going to extend you a lead, making sure that you can actually receive the lead, that you're a qualified person to do so. So that's something else that we do when we're doing these walkthroughs. The co-op fund piece. So I mentioned this, I think, Ken, yesterday when we were talking, but just to mention it in here, uh, when you're a larger Microsoft provider, so the way they pay out incentives is they pay 60% and then they take 40% and they put it in co-op funds. So when this amounts less than 10 grand at the end of a quarter, you just get a bigger check. So some of you would notice when you're going through month one, month two is, $400 or $500, and then month three is 1,200. And you're like, wow, there was a spike. This is great. If you're paying attention, that would happen every quarter because that money's coming back to you. Now, if you don't get that money, and this is more than $10,000, then you have to apply to get co-op. So you have to actually submit things to Microsoft to get the money back. So let's say you did a lunch and learn and it cost you this much money, and you take the right pictures and you submit the form and it costs you 3 grand. Well, maybe Microsoft goes, yep, no, we're good. Here's $1,900. Well, also, how many lunch and learns are you going to do in a quarter to get that money, right? So there's a lot of options there where you may get bits and pieces. You may not get all of it. The surefire way to get it done is to actually pay your client or your company's salaries with it. So let's say you have an internal person that handles the Microsoft side, that handles the Microsoft relationship. It could be as simple as taking screenshots of 3 calls in a quarter that they handled that were Microsoft consultation, Microsoft opportunity call, and then maybe they contacted Microsoft for something or contacted us to talk through it. Well, those 3 calls, sending that, you could actually pay that person's salary and take all of that amount out and use it to pay his salary. Now, obviously, his salary may be more than that, but at least that's 100% surefire way to get the money out. Okay. Um, the next 2 pieces, so the business location side, this is kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but there's ways to work together, which we've seen other groups adopt too, not a group as a whole, but let's say 3 or 4 of you are pretty close and one of you is dead set, already ready, already rolling with solution partner designation. And let's say the other 3 are really struggling. They're nowhere close. They're going to lose money. There's, they're just, they don't feel great. They're going to lose maybe $1,000, $2,000 every month. There's ways to become a business location under a different entity, and we can talk through that a little bit and kind of get yourself back into the game and making sure that you don't lose incentives. And this is something we've done with other groups, other franchisee companies, things of that nature, and it works really well. And we can go through it if you're, when we're doing those consultations, if I do it and I see that you only have 4 points out of 100, I'm going to be like, well, here are your options. You can continue on this path. You can buy an action pack, or you can, in essence, phone a friend, I guess. I'm throwing stuff over here, but yeah.
I didn't
So
know if
the
someone raised a hand or not, but it looks like maybe we just added someone. I thought someone raised their hand, but separate from that, I mean, this is really cool stuff, Michael. I just being able to find ways to best utilize these, and I know you're getting down into the incentives and the boot camps and the lunch and learns. I mean, basically just by adding Microsoft to any of the things that you're doing, and as long as you can prove that you've done it and show the marketing and show what went into it, because I know you have to prove it clearly.
Yep.
There's so many ways to get the money from Microsoft. And by the way, Microsoft claims that there's billions of dollars left on the table every year, right?
Exactly.
Not saying they make it easy, which is why we need Michael and his team to help get through it, but all that money, and all I hear people say is Microsoft, Microsoft. Well, guess what? You have an opportunity to get that money and get it back and stop complaining about it by just taking action and following along with SureWeb's tips and tricks on how to do this. So, and this is really cool. I love the fact that you have this whole entire list. And I just remember back to doing lunch and learns and things of that nature. And oh, by the way, you can also use Microsoft's locations if you're near one,
Yep.
and that's another free way that just gives you a location, and then on top of that they'll pay for the food, they'll match whatever, all kinds of stuff. So in my experience, I've seen a lot of these things work, so that's what makes it so exciting. But at the time I didn't have Michael to hold my hand and get me through this stuff, so you guys have an opportunity to have a team of people help you get through this and get extra money. It's kind of a no-brainer. Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
No stress, no stress. Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off that too. So from the lunch and learn perspective, what we do with our partner programs is everything's tiered. So the more you do with us, the more we can do for you. So kind of expanding on what you said, with some partners, we'll fly out a subject matter expert to a Microsoft location to help you host a lunch and learn that is free for you. So we'll show you how to submit the paperwork and then in essence piggyback and do the training in tandem with you, for an existing client list that you're bringing to the table. So that's something as well. And you can kind of, so the last one here is for kind of a more seasoned, let's say a more seasoned MSP, and we try to teach people, especially larger ones, how to use those back end incentives when you are set up properly as kind of initiatives from a sales perspective. So how can you use that to push your sales team to make more money so that you know the exact amount that's coming on the back end and when, and how can you take that money and push that into your sales force to be like, hey, for the next 30 days, every person that sells Microsoft 365 Business Premium gets X amount of money, percentage of the deal, or whatever the case may be. So we've done that in the past. So that could be something too that we help kind of orchestrate for our partners, and we have done that. So that's something as well. Now getting into a bit more of the SureWeb side and what we do a little bit different is like I mentioned at the start, right? So these consultations and that you'll see the services side. So what I just did, and then the call following this, if you do take me up on my offer, this will kind of give you a snapshot into what these services to help you achieve more might actually look like. So the concept here is the marketplace side, like I said. So the Microsoft piece, the Veeam, the Trend Micro, all that good stuff, and then tying in the services to help you get through that, and then the team of experts. So a lot of this may cost money. So like obviously we're not giving you a help desk for free, right? For an end client. But the concept here is everything that we position, we want you to be able to A, either close more business easier, or B, not worry about your team as much. And what I mean there is, let's say you're having a really hard time in the area you're in to hire, I don't know, level one technicians, or there's just a revolving door. Well, maybe it's time to look at a help desk where we can take the load off there a little bit, right? Same thing on the Microsoft side. You don't probably want to hire, especially if you're, 20, 25 employees, you don't want to hire somebody to do what me and Alex and some of us in the back end are going to do. Just let us do it for you, and then you don't have to worry about having that kind of expertise in house. You just need to remember, hey, every 3 to 6 months or 6 to 10 months, I need to talk to SureWeb to run through this. So that thing I mentioned earlier, so the business relationship component. So this is you, right? And then we have a dedicated account manager that is associated to an ISR. So what that means is it's an entire team right there for you. Okay. And what this opens up is obviously it's kind of table stakes at this point, but the you partner facing 24/7 support, a TAM, so what we call a TAM, so technical account manager. So certain size partners with us have escalation paths for tickets. So you open a ticket and it's been 8 hours and you haven't heard anything, or 4 hours and you didn't hear the right thing. You can escalate that to your TAM and they'll go on the scavenger hunt for you, so your support team doesn't have to. And then you have direct access to billing. But the account manager can get you quite a few different things here. So this is the concept. So helping you through an opportunity. Maybe it's to build a go-to-market strategy. Maybe it's to build one of these lunch and learns we're bringing up, right? You want help and guidance there, we can do that. Maybe it's a new product you want to kick, or you feel that from, I don't know, maybe a security perspective, you're not up to par. Well, we have SMEs just on the security side that can kind of do a spot check, let's say, walk through where you're at. What are you selling now? Um, what are you telling the client you're covering? And then kind of building a map like, well, you're missing here, or you need XDR, or you need this, or you need a SIM, or whatever the case may be. We'll piece that together for you in tandem with you. And everything on this side, outside of us physically building you an Azure deployment, is on the house. Okay. So if our Azure team has to get involved to really do things, um, there's a pro serve cost. But any of the other stuff, so helping you through that sales cycle, marketing perspective, all that good stuff, that's all stuff that we build in to our partnership. The reason for it is obviously the better you are and the better you are navigating all of this chaos, um, the better it is for us too, right? So we want to have skin in the game just like you do. So that's been a big focal point for us as well.
Hey,
From
Michael,
Yep.
before you go into integrations, just have a
Yep.
question from a pro serve perspective. If they did have an Azure project, does your team pick up those projects and bill on behalf of the provider and things like that? Would you be able to become an extension in those areas if they land an Azure job or a Dynamics job? Do you guys have that in your pro services
Yeah, so it's two
arsenal?
different. Yeah, so kind of two different things. So on the Azure side, we have an entire team in house. So you close a deal and you have no idea what's going on, or maybe you just found an opportunity, right?
Right, right.
You find that opportunity, you get some basic information. Your account manager is going to take that to our Azure team. They're
Hmm.
going to build a quote. Then we're going to set up another call to go through that with you, so that you have a fighting chance to present it to your client. Then your client bites. We can take as much of the workload after that as possible. We may need your help because we are doing this in a white label capacity, right?
Right.
To provide some information and some expertise, but for the most part, what will happen is we'll build out the environment. Think of it like we'll build the house, and then you're going to go install the TV set. So we'll build everything on the Azure side, and then you're going in and putting their application and doing that stuff. the stuff that you'd be managing anyway, right? And then what we can do after that is you're like, I'm not comfortable patching, monitoring, all this kind of stuff. Well, that's where a knock comes in.
Okay.
So some partners leverage bits and pieces. And what's nice, and the reason we built it the way we did, is we want it to be opportunity by opportunity. So we have some big clients that just don't have the bandwidth 1 month. So they leverage us for a deal or two, and
Right.
then not for 6 months. We have small guys that are like, you are literally the Azure shop. We'll take, every opportunity to do everything for them, and kind of build out some stuff there. So that part's really hit. It depends on what's needed, but we can jump in wherever. The
Yep.
dynamic side is that P2P thing I was talking about. So we have expert partners across all the different, potential products. So you stumble on a business central opportunity. Well, we'll plug in an expert in that space. You say it's a law firm or a financial company, no worries. We'll find one, we'll plug them in, and you two will work in tandem to go close that business.
Great.
So we're not involved as much in that, but we have two SMEs on the dynamic side that work all the direct, those larger kind of in-house guys,
Mhm.
those P2P stuff, so that they plug you into the right person and they work the opportunity kind of just as a facilitator. So that's what we've
Well,
done on the dynamic side.
and that's why the reason why I bring it up is sometimes it's so easy to say, "Oh, SureWeb, they're a distributor," and not really get the whole picture on the these other outside areas, right, where you guys do pro serve and you can
Yep.
help them. So I wanted to make sure that the audience that is paying attention to these types of things, because it's not, oh well, yeah, I go buy Microsoft from ShareWeb. Well, no, they have these other offerings that can really circle and round out your business and make you look even stronger and better if you don't have the expertise just yet. So that's why I wanted
Mhm.
to point that out, and it's cool that you guys do that. I think it's a great plus on top of the things that you already do really well, and helping them with the Microsoft licensing and the NCE and all the craziness there. But there's
Yeah,
so much more, right? So
for sure.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody got that piece, because I think it's important to understand all the things that you guys do.
Exactly. And by all means, we do have partners that are very transactional, right? Just come to us, close a business, not much communication, but we do have a large portion, and what we strive to have is those managed service providers that do want to have cadence calls every month, that do want to have kind of poke us for ideas and like, hey, what can I do here? I found this odd opportunity I've never had. Can I do something with this or not? Like that's where we're building out this kind of business relationship stuff where, once a month you may have a cadence call with your account manager. You can bring 4 or 5 talking points to that as a business owner or as a C level or whomever kind of the main contact is, right? Sometimes it's a project manager or something like that
Right.
too. But whoever that is, the AM should be able to talk through those talking points, if not, bring somebody in that can help you out with that. So that's kind of the focal point of this,
Awesome.
business relationship team approach.
We got a question, Michael.
Yep.
Corey is asking, is the technical support specialized in Microsoft or generalist that rolls into the traditional GMS Live help desk?
Okay. So yeah. So the GMS side is two separate things. So from a partner facing support, we have about 1,000 support technicians now. Okay. So let's say you had a Microsoft question, that 24/7 technical support you see, that's where you're going. You're going to somebody in Canada or the US that has a background in Microsoft, but is also kind of a generalist across all our products. That's something we do like to do. So we don't like to have you reach out, say for a Bitdefender question, and then us have to send you to Bitdefender. That's why the niche approach to how we've structured our marketplace. We want to be able to do as much as we can in-house. So on the GMS side, however, that's the help desk arm that we have. That's more for representing you as you to end clients. So you want to bring to the table an opportunity. I don't know, maybe you lost 2 guys in house. You don't have the bandwidth to go 24/7 anymore. So you'll actually build us into that. Now, when they reach out to you, they're actually calling us, or when they grab a chat, they're actually calling us. And we're on the GMS side, 24/7 support as you, level 1, level 2. So it's two different things. I know that we acquired GMS and everybody assumes that that's the same, but it's two separate
Yeah,
things.
he
Help
said
desk the
he
product.
he said make sense, thanks. So you got
Okay,
him.
cool,
You got
cool.
the point across. Awesome. Okay,
Cool.
we'll let you roll forward, Michael. And by the way, everybody, ask questions in the chat. If you got questions, throw them out there. This is what Michael's here for. So love to hear your questions, and we'll pay attention to them and get them answered live.
So from a billing integration perspective, this is what we have right now. Obviously, still kicking the tires on a couple more, and there should be a few more rolled out. One of the pieces is we do extend Open API as well. So if you're using somebody else or you have your own homemade concoction you think you could tie in, by all means, you can do that. One of the features of our portal that is coming, that I have been mentioning in the last little bit too, is kind of a self-service portal. So the opportunity for you to let your end clients manage themselves, add or remove licenses when they want. And what's nice is you'll be able to curate it. So you can curate the Sherware products that are viewed, and you can curate the price that they see. So that might be something that's interesting too, especially for more lean MSPs that have a large book of business, or for an MSP that has large clients that may have an internal IT team. This will allow you to kind of just do what you need to do. And that's all I have. My Calendly link is in this. I'm going to share this with the TBG team. So feel free to book me at any time to do one of these initial consultations for sure. The goal is to kind of make sure that everybody is set up and structured, and I too will be in Florida in August. So worst case, what I've done at others as well is I'll do this live with you. So I'll literally have you log in and I'll navigate the whole thing, and we can do it together in real time if you want to. So I'll be there for, I think, the 3 or 4 days that the event's going on.
Nice. It's going to be a great time. Looking forward to having you guys all there. And yeah, you want to get these people live and be able to, oh, wait. Oh, yeah. And also, Elizabeth will be sending a follow-up after this with this recording and the Calendly link. So we'll be able to get that in your hands. Corey is maybe asking another question. We'll wait and see what Corey has. And there's a few here that we can roll through. Be patient with this one, but I'll let that one percolate, and then I'll ask this the question that I had sitting over here. Michael, do any of the solution designations work for incentives?
Yeah. So like I mentioned it a little earlier, but to kind of clarify, the one that you're going to be looking for most often is going to be modern work. So that one there is what's going to open the door from an incentive perspective on the M365 that you're selling. So that's going to be kind of everybody's focal point. And then the infrastructure piece is going to unlock the backend incentives for Azure. So typically that's like 1A, 1B for most partners. So those are the two to focus on, because that will be the one that kind of moves the needle the best for you.
Nice. Okay, so Corey is actually giving us a compliment, which is great. Says great content. Are you a compliment? I didn't do anything. I'm just here looking pretty. Great content, lots of information. If there is one piece of advice, action that we should try to implement in the next month, what would you suggest?
It would be to figure out exactly where you're at with this new solution partner designation. So getting to that overview, seeing where you're at from a price, from a points perspective, because we're 90 days out. So you literally have 90 days to fix this. Once you know that number and where you're at, we can build a game plan.
Yeah, that's at least if they don't change it within that 90 days to really mess with you.
Yeah, and literally it can exactly, even if you don't have time to do the call, I 4th of July next week, you got a month vacation, whatever, you can literally open it to those 3 screenshots I shared. Somebody that listens to this can take a screenshot of each of those 3 when they're logged in. As long as they have the right global admin credentials, I'll be able to view that, and we can actually extend a game plan from there. So without even doing the consultation, I can probably help with those screenshots. So even if you don't have time, make time at least to do that, and then we'll be able to help.
Right. And I would just add if you got that down, Pat, which is actually the most important piece. So I'm glad Michael said it. Down the line, if you're not doing Azure and Dynamics because you're afraid, you don't have the bandwidth, with the addition of what Michael just talked about, I would be seriously considering adding those 2 things on, because you'll have the availability to work with SureWeb and their team to take care of the stuff that you're worried about. So don't let yourself be shortchanged on that wallet share out there. If someone comes to you with an Azure, job, don't go, we don't do that. Think about it first. See if there's a way that you can handle it. If SureWeb's taking care of most of the heavy lift, could be
Yeah.
something, another area that you take your business into. And I've seen it work very well.
And to kind of expand on that too, we can actually our partners have access to a guide. So it's literally we'll walk you through how to have the conversation and the information we need to build you a quote. So even if you're not comfortable having the call, or you're from a sales perspective, maybe one of your sales guys isn't, all he has to do is follow those questions and be like, okay, let me circle back with a quote. And typically in 24 to 72 hours, we'll flip back with the quote and exactly the marching orders of how to talk through what exactly we built. So you'll be, have all the ammunition you need to go close that business.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Really cool stuff. So here's a good question. What happens if my certified employee leaves?
Yeah. So we actually have this happen. So I mentioned it earlier how you can become a business location. You, there are certified employees that are kind of like hired guns. So what I mean by that is one TBG member may be short a certification and another TBG member may have 4 guys that pass that cert. You can actually disassociate one of the employees here and associate them over here. He's not actually working for the other company, right? But he's associated his Microsoft Learn account over here, and that'll give this person points. It'll impact this guy potentially. So if he has the right number still or maxed it out and doesn't
Right.
need it, it won't. But you can share guys, and that those changes can be made 3 times. So we've seen some partners, you disassociate employee X over here, he goes to this company 6 months later, he goes back, or he goes to this company. You can do that 3 times a year as an employee. And obviously all you're doing is disassociating a Learn account and then associating it to a new one. And we have guides on how to do that, how to disassociate where you're at, or just how to associate a new one and just right off the jump. But yeah, those certs can transfer a little bit. And if you lose an employee that does it, um, it won't be an immediate impact. Like you're not gonna day one lose your solution partner designation, but what it does is it sets a clock. So it'll
Yeah.
set a timeline for you. Let's say there's 8 months left before your next renewal. Well, now you got 8 months to get somebody else certified. Um, and we have guides for the specific ones too. So the advanced and the intermediate ones, which test is a bit more suited to pass quickly, which one, that kind of stuff. So we can help you out there a little bit too.
And those guys, and out of all these guides, I'm assuming that you have in the guides, or you have a guide that will help people understand what's the quickest way to get to certain certification
Yeah,
levels, right? Because I know
sure.
even back, I don't know, a couple of years ago, everybody freaked out because there was this list, but then there were ones that you could pick that would just be, the minimum. Oh, if I got these 4, and they're really easy to get, and it would just at least get me my certain my level of
Yeah,
certification, so I got into the program.
yeah, exactly. So there's one now. I won't mention it on the call since it's recorded, but so there's 2 advanced certs at the moment. One of them is a big bulky one that you need to study for, pay $200 every time you fail it. Okay. And the second one is 35 multiple choice questions that you can use the internet for. So, and
Right.
that gets you the same amount of points. So like, yeah, knowing where to fish is also super important. So yeah, we can definitely walk through that as well. To put into context, we found a guy last Wednesday that didn't have this. He had 0 points. He actually found an employee he only needed one cert in each bucket. He found an employee that had passed an MS 900, didn't know how to associate his Microsoft Learn account, and he had nobody in this one. I sent him the details he needed to pass the advanced cert. He did that in the afternoon. We associated the other thing, and by Friday he had points. So Wednesday he wasn't hitting. Friday he paid for his solution partner designation. His incentive started, and he was out of gold, so he was not getting any money on the back end. All his free licenses had dried up. So that changed. Probably saved him 4 grand a month in licensing on top of whatever the incentives were he was going to be getting. So
Nice.
you can have
Nice.
huge swings like that too. And you may actually, we talked about this yesterday, Ken, but you may have actually be set up 100% properly. Um, and when you look in your portal, you'll have incentives in a big box in the front. And when you click on that, you may see errors there. So what we do sometimes in these spot checks, we're like, no, you're good. You've already bought solution partner designation, or you're right there. All you have to do is pay for it now and you're golden. We still go through that membership perspective, the incentive piece. And when we're looking at the incentive side, what happens is we'll see money. So a few weeks back, there was a guy in there and all he was missing was his tax and banking information on one line. And he had 42,900 US earned and zero paid. So as soon as he did that, and then he started to see checks coming in, the first one was 32 grand, but he had $42,000 sitting there that he didn't know about, and he didn't even know how to access it, and he was set up properly. So there's a lot of potential, regardless of how you're set up, for it to be beneficial.
And that's not rare because
No.
I mean, I'll say the amount sounds rare, but it's funny not even knowing this. Michael and I had almost the same exact experience with Microsoft, where I had seen this very same thing where it was a simple couple of check boxes and 45 grand was sitting there. And by the way, there's a timeline on that, right, Michael? There's a chance they lose that money and they don't have the option to get back to it if they don't do something in time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So Microsoft is not making it, well, it's making it difficult, let's say, but they're not trying to get it to timeout. But like, they're not going to tell you things are there. If you're
Right.
looking at the screen, you'll see that there's money. But if you don't look at the screen, you won't ever know that there's, that there's just money sitting there just waiting for you to go get it. So that's the kind of stuff that we're really trying to help out with, because that's your cash. That's money that that's there for you to take. So you might as well take it.
Oh yeah, I would think that you want every penny you can get, especially out of Microsoft, right? Because there's
For
so
sure.
much that you think about, and if they're going to give money away, I think we should all be standing in line. And I love how you guys definitely set it up so that you can stand in line.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. I have 75 points and it still shows in progress. I thought I only needed 70 points. What's the issue?
Yeah, so that when you clicked on modern work and I opened it up to 5 buckets, everybody's confused because there is possibilities for you to be above that 70 threshold and not be able to buy it. So that's what I meant when I was saying there should be at least 1 point in each. So what we normally see is somebody's finished one of the two certifications and not the other. They might have passed two of the intermediates, but they don't have an advanced. And then they have 90 points or 85 points out of the rest of the buckets. And they're like, what the hell's going on? I want to buy this. I need to get my incentives back up and running. Well, you need to get a point in that other bucket. So you need to go get an advanced cert. Once you see at least a point in each thing, um, that's when you can take advantage of it. So you can be above 70 and see it in progress. And that's kind of what I meant earlier, but that's the elaborated way to look at it. So the first best way to do it is make sure your customers are getting you the first one and the bottom two. So making sure that from a customer side, you've got it nailed. And then you worry about the skilling piece. So you make sure the certs get through. So just make sure that you see at least 1 point in all of those buckets. And once you're above 70, buy it immediately because the points change all the time. So make sure that once you do hit it, that you've bought it, and then you're good for 12 months.
Nice. Um, Here's another one. Does the solution designation for modern work extend the same benefits as gold now?
Yeah, so no, it doesn't. It's actually a lot more. So what ends up happening now, so gold, you get about 100 free licenses. Uh, the new designation will actually give you 200 Microsoft E5, so the highest plans you can get, 200 of them for free, plus 25 business premium, so Microsoft 365 business premium licenses. So like if you are a large company, that's, I don't even know, 12, 13,000 in licensing a month. So if you're paying for that and now you're set yourself up properly, we get access to that back, you could save, tens of thousands of dollars a month.
Who wants to do that, Michael? Seriously. Come on. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that while you're drinking. You're gonna end up spitting it on the camera. Well, one thing I would say too is, Michael, you've been doing this a long time, so you can concur on this, but this is the first time ever that Microsoft is pushing marketing out to the world that matches what we're talking about. Modern workplace, modern work. If you watch anywhere and Microsoft's doing a commercial, they're talking about the same things that we are for the first time. So it's a
Yeah.
really good, right? You chuckle, right? Because it's the first time we're really on the same page with their marketing. And remember, Modern Work covers everything that people are doing now, right? All the things that they need help with. I'll tell you what, I had seen a study not too long ago, and every percentage wrapped around what businesses were looking for now: productivity, efficiencies, right? All these things. And guess what? Modern Work covers all those things, and the percentages were high, Michael. Every business that did any one of these surveys, that was like 86% of companies want to be more efficient. Well, guess what? Modern Work covers that. So when
Yep.
you're out there and you're talking about this, work with companies like SureWeb and Michael to maximize your relationship with Microsoft and SureWeb, and then also use it as a tool to go out and educate. You don't need to sell. We talk about this all the time. Go out and educate whoever will listen. And when you have a partner like SureWeb in your corner, you have a way to deliver on that. When you're talking about, hey, we're going to just tell you this is how it works. This is how we can make you more efficient, more productive. And we're going to use Microsoft, for instance. And by the way, by doing that, you're going to get paid on the back end of that as well. And Michael and team is going to make sure that that happens. So yeah,
I would say to use it as marketing as well. So once you
yes,
have passed it and you have the solution partner designation, like we see lots of people don't update their website. They still have silver and gold. Well, nobody knows what the heck that means.
yeah,
So if you say now you're a solution partner for Modern Work or a solution partner for infrastructure,
yes,
now when you're sending things out and they see your name with that, it's much easier to have a conversation about, well, why do you want me to move to manage Teams Voice? Don't worry, I got you. Why? Well, I don't want to look at Azure. Well, I have I'm a solution partner designated specifically for infrastructure. So I have competencies that'll help us both make this profitable. So it just makes a conversation with an end client easier. So
yep.
even if you have passed it, spot check it, make sure it's on your website because there's not a lot of people that have passed it up into this point. So you'll be a front runner right now if you have that on your website and kind of you're waving it out there to the customers you're talking to.
Yeah. Listen, Michael, I could talk to you for another hour. This is good stuff. Love it. Where is SureWeb going to be in the coming months? We know you're going to be at Big in August, but where are some other places that folks can find you guys?
So pretty much everywhere. So all of the CRN events. So a couple of my teammates in business development will be at CRN Secure. I think it's in Dallas.
Yep.
DattoCon, IT Nation. I'll be at Evolve for Q3 in Denver in a couple weeks. And then all our other groups seem to be having events in and around August and September. So yeah, we'll be spread out all throughout the US for the
So
next few
you'll be
months.
hard pressed not to find SureWeb at an event in the next few
Sure.
months. Make
Yep.
sure you check them out. How can people? Well, we know how people can connect with you. It's right here on the page here, and we're going to send that out. I always just ask the question. I
Yep.
would say for sure, find Michael on LinkedIn, get connected. It's a good resource. A great resource to have. Make sure you get connected with him and learn more about SureWeb. They're a great company. They're really working hard to help the community out. Michael, it's an extreme pleasure to have you on here. Looking forward to seeing you out there live sometime soon. Also, make sure you catch us both at the Big in August at the Diplomat. We're giving that information, taylorbusinessgroup.com. You can go to the site and check that out to register. Again, we do have passes if you want to see how our community operates. This is the best way to see it and get to see folks like Michael's team and SureWeb there as well. So thanks very much. Thanks for another knowledge webinar. Again, these are recorded. They will be on the website and they will be sent out to all the people who showed up on this. So you're going to get an email from the lovely Miss Elizabeth, who's going to follow up and give you everything that you need. And if you have questions about Taylor Business Group, let her know and she'll point you to the right folks as well. Michael, again, thanks very much. It was great seeing you. And this was very informative. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody.